Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Beacon. I hope that you have gotten your spirits going this Easter morning with the drums and the singing. Thank you to Misa Iwama. I am here with my great colleague, Dr. Tuli Patel, who is our executive director and the leader of our lifespan ministry team. And of course, I'm the Reverend Emilie Boggis. And we are just delighted to be with you here this Easter morning.
A warm welcome to all of you, beloved Beacon. It is wonderful to be with you all, whether you're with us for the first time or the 10,000th time, whether you found your way to us via our website or Facebook or YouTube. We welcome you with radical hospitality. We would not be the same without you. If you have young ones watching, say, hi, kids, you can wave. And here we are, family and friends, on this Easter morning, one beacon, shining our light out into the world.
As Unitarian Universalists, we are a faith without a creed or a statement of belief. We welcome you as you are. We welcome a multitude of religious backgrounds and people without any whatsoever. And we enter the sacred stories of the world's religious traditions in order to find meaning and to garner strength in our time. Today, it's Easter Sunday, and so we lift up both the pagan story of Ostara and the Christian story of Jesus' life, death, and resurrection. And we reflect upon the radical imagination that is necessary for our time and our struggles, especially as a nation and a world who have been immersed this week in the trial of the police officer who murdered George Floyd.
This is what we do as a religious community. We can hold two seemingly contradictory emotions or thoughts or ways of being. So we share joys and sorrows, the limits as well as the freedoms, the struggle through the storm, and the calm of contemplation. We are delighted that this morning joining us this Easter Sunday are the Reverends Emilie Congar and Aisha Asano, our new partners, leading Beacon's Wednesday Refuel Evensong, which helps us peel back the layers so we can continue to discover more fully and deeply what it means to be human, taking the time to make meaning of the world. Their work is not to be missed. Wednesday nights at 7 o'clock. Welcome, Reverends Emilie and Aisha.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Happy Easter.
So each of you has served a thriving dinner communities in pre-pandemic times. And I just want to know, how has that shifted now that we're in this sort of virtual world? And, how do you continue to seed connection and ritual and expansiveness now?
Thank you, Reverend Emilie. This is a really important question. So let's start with the basics. Dinner church is an ancient spiritual practice that involves weaving a worship service and a meal together. Think a Passover Seder or another meal-based experience. So for centuries, we have known that when we eat and share what is meaningful together, we can connect to our shared humanity and create powerful connections to one another and a larger whole. And I know that feeling connected during a pandemic is vital and more challenging than it's been in a long time. So our dinner church services are helping people to connect in ways that are still embodied and intimate, even from a distance and over a screen. Dinner Church Online calls for new levels of creativity and imagination, and we work really hard to use the Zoom technology as a tool for deeper relationship building. We often invite you to sit together in your mind's eye and eat together mindfully and bless one another powerfully. My 2-year-old, Lily Abundance, knows better than most but it is not only possible, but so much fun to share food with others across video screens.
What a blessing to have that name, Lily Abundance. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Keep going.
Well, also to have a 2-year-old who's engaged, not running around.
Yeah, she loves sharing food with her grandparents, especially. Yeah. So with Dinner Church, we connect creativity with creativity and imagination. to expand what we previously considered possible and connect in transformative ways.
That sounds amazing. I wish that I had grown up with dinner church, really, honestly. And that's some of what we're bringing into this April at Beacon. The theme this month is all about awakening, evolving, and becoming. You'll hear the word becoming a lot. Reverend Aisha, I want to know if you can tell us more about how Wednesday's refuel will help us go deeper into our lives.
Absolutely. So this Wednesday, we are going to dream big. We're going to imagine new ways to become who we want to be in the world and new ways to help the world become what we know it can be. In her poem on radical imagination, Adrienne Marie Brown says, "We can imagine so much. We can only imagine so much." Even in our wildest imaginations, we are limited by what we believe to be possible. So together, let's practice imagining together, expanding what we believe is possible as we build beloved community together. Our Refuel with Nourish services all include an extended mindful bite. It's a ritual that invites us to intentionally connect with the food that we're eating using our whole bodies, and also reminds us of how we are connected to so many others through this food. It is so powerful to remember the ways in which our becoming is tied up in the lives of so many others. And so let us begin our service this morning with these words by Reverend Wendy Williams called Becoming.
Being is not a coat fitted to us but once. It is an invitation to breathe deep into the gift that is our day. We have not arrived. We are not cast in stone. Beating hearts, cells made new, we grow, we change, we meet and are met. Becoming, always becoming.
No map prepares our path. Living opens us. Love awakens us. All that has been unfolds into all yet to be. Attention, midwife's becoming. We flow into wholeness, sensing our own belonging. No map prepares our path. Living opens us. Love awakens us. Becoming, always becoming.
Let us be still and drink from the oneness that birthed us and holds us and recalls us from our fears. May we flow into wholeness. May we awaken to love. In being, we are blessed. By becoming, we are a blessing.
Awaken to love. Return to belonging, flow into wholeness, awaken to love. Being blessed, becoming blessing.
Good morning. We are
Matthew,
Justin, and Karen. This morning we light our home chalice, this symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith, with these words. We light this chalice for the light of truth and reality, the warmth of love and compassion, and the fire of commitment and promise. We light this symbol of our faith as we gather together.
Alleluia, alleluia,
angels triumphing. Alleluia. O ye who taste that love is sweet, set waymarks for the doubtful feet that stumble on in search of it. Alleluia. Sing hymns of love that some who hear far off in pain may lend an ear. Rise up and wonder and draw near. Alleluia. Lead lives of love that others who behold your lives may kindle too with love and cast their lot with you. Alleluia.
Happy Easter, everyone! It's such an exciting day. There are bunnies and Easter egg hunts, special outfits, and budding flowers, not to mention the fun of dyeing eggs. Have you ever wondered what all of this excitement is actually about? Easter gets its name from the pagan goddess of spring and dawn, whose name is Ostara. Sounds like Easter, right? She carries an egg, a symbol of new life. Some stories say that Ostara has the head of a hare and is the goddess of rabbits and birds. Some other stories say that the children who lived at the time of Ostara presented her with gifts as a way of thanking her for bringing spring. Ostara was so moved by this gift from the kids that she told all the hares, rabbits, and bunnies in the land to give eggs back to the kids, and that is where we get the idea of the Easter bunny bringing treats for you all. What gift can you share with others today? What makes a gift exciting is when it is unexpected, right? When it's a surprise. And Easter is all about the unexpected. In the Christian celebration of Easter, the story goes that after Jesus died, women went to his tomb expecting to find Jesus' body, but instead discovered that the tomb was empty. They were very surprised and turned away from the tomb, sad and dejected. Sometimes when we are busy looking for a particular thing, we miss what is right in front of us. Has this happened to you? Like maybe you were looking for a pencil and you came upon a toy that you'd been looking for a long time? We just failed to notice what was there all along. The women at the tomb who went looking for Jesus looked out over the crowded marketplace and didn't even recognize a stranger in the marketplace as their good friend. They were so busy looking for Jesus that they did not see kindness in faces and generosity in the crowds, or realize that Jesus and what he taught was alive in the way people were behaving and how they treated one another. Let's make sure that we notice all the things around us, even if they're not immediately apparent, particularly when people are kind to one another. Easter is all about what is hidden but becomes visible and apparent when we pay attention to it. And it is so exciting when we find it. As you go out into the rest of your Sunday, we urge you to notice not only what is obvious and right in front of you, but also what might be hidden or lying just behind what we are looking at. Happy Easter, everyone!
Each Sunday at Beacon, we set aside time to light a candle of joy, sorrow, or witness. It could be that you kindle a flame of remembrance for someone you've lost. Perhaps you'll light a candle in celebration of the turn of the seasons and the longer days of brilliant sunlight that this brings. Maybe you or someone you know is going through a difficult time, through illness, financial struggles, or a broken relationship. Whatever your reason, you are welcome to light a candle in your home, and we hope that you'll lift up a name or your concern in the chat. As we begin the kindling of lights, we draw attention to the thousands who have died from COVID-19, the impact within our Beacon community and stretched across the world. To date, over 2,800,000 people have died in the world from COVID-19. We hold a moment of silence for these lives. We also light our candle of witness that Black Lives Matter for Genoa Donald, born on May 29, 1990. He lost his life on February 12 of this year during a traffic stop over a bad taillight. He was unarmed. Raised by a single mother, Genoa went on camping trips and outdoor adventures with other families from the neighborhood when he was a kid. His mother, when she wanted to find him, said that all she needed to do was drive around the neighborhood and find the pile of bicycles, and she knew where the boys were. She said Genoa loved to tinker and dream up mechanical projects, like the time he modified a bike using a motor scooter. May this ritual of kindling light together offer us solace, inspiration, and renewed hope for our lives and for our world.
Good morning. I'm Joe Parsons, a long-term member of Beacon. Ours is a typical story. We did not investigate religion until our first son was about 4, and we quickly found the Unitarian community. When we settled in this area, we immediately fell in love with the Summit congregation. We were instantly gratified by our kids' relationships with the RE programs. We learned so much personally. We were enthralled by the sermons, the music, our new friends, and the sanctuary. My favorite story about Beacon is that we were dropping our son off at the off-site RE building a block down the street for the first time when I had a hallway chat with somebody promoting consolidating the RE building with the sanctuary. And I assure you there was a conversation about a capital campaign. I laugh to this day about this introduction to a new congregation. Wow, a congregation in action. And we've been in action ever since, be it completing that project, taking public stands, marching for justice, changing our name, supporting Black Lives Matter, the 8th principle, and now our new sanctuary. In a nod to the interdependent web of all existence, your support will not be just for Beacon, but for our incredible UU movement. Statewide, we have UU Faith Action, nationally the UUA. which supports our educational programs, including our beloved OWL program. Internationally, the UUUNO and the UUSC. Our most recent example of expanding and supporting our movement is the Beacon Hope and Justice Center. I serve on its board and as its treasurer. Our mission is to address the oppression of marginalized communities and the impacts of poverty and racism. The truth is that we create this community called Beacon together. You and me, us. Our mission comes alive through our relationships, our voices, our leadership, and our gifts. Now we move into a time where we give generously to support making that mission come alive in our lives and in the world. In a minute, you'll see ways to contribute to Beacon. We invite you to lean into this practice of generosity. I know firsthand it makes a difference. Thank you.
The following scene from the Gospel of Mark in the Christian Bible takes place 2 days before Passover, what is later known as the Last Supper. It occurs as the chief priests and scribes are looking for a way to arrest and kill him. While he was at Bethany in the house of Simon, the leper, as he sat at the table, a woman came with an alabaster jar of very costly ointment of nard, and she broke open the jar and poured the ointment on his head. But some were there who said to one another in anger, "Why was the ointment wasted in this way? For this ointment could have been sold for more than 300 denarii and the money given to the poor." And they scolded her. But Jesus said, "Let her alone. Why do you trouble her? She has performed a good service for me. For you always have the poor with you, and you can show kindness to them whenever you wish, but you will not always have me. She has done what she could. She has anointed my body beforehand for its burial. Truly, I tell you, wherever the good news is proclaimed in the world, what she has done will be told in remembrance of her."
Thank you, Mia. I just want to lift up Mia Morris's courageous leadership, both in our congregation and out in the world. Thank you for bringing us the Gospel of Mark today. Having heard this story, let us now turn to a ritual of blessing on this Easter Sunday. I invite you to center yourself. Take a deep breath in and out, releasing tension, allowing yourself to get comfortable in your chair or wherever you are. Really center yourself as you reflect upon the question, what unforeseen blessing, what silver lining from this past year do you hope to carry forward with you into the spring? What unforeseen blessing, what silver lining do you hope to carry forward into the spring? Continuing to breathe deeply, center on this question before we engage in a moment of blessing. If you don't have it handy, I invite you to get a tablespoon of water or oil if you want to be fancy, or you can sit there, reflect on the question, and watch the blessing. Let us take a moment to center. What unforeseen blessing, what silver lining do we hope to carry forward? Let us be a blessing, and let us be blessed. Dipping your fingers into your water or oil just slightly, you only need a little. I invite you to touch the water or oil to your forehead, gifting you with clear vision. I invite you to bless your heart, that you may offer yourself compassion and offer one another compassion. I invite you to bless your hands and your body so that you may be blessed with both rest and the work that you are called to do. And taking a moment to reach out and offer a blessing to the people around you, whether it is a partner, a friend, a neighbor, children, grandparents. Maybe it is the invisible around you, those people of memory, those people that are coming forward. Maybe it is a blessing onto our planet. Offer a blessing to this world. Give it with joy and love. May all of us be a blessing And may we not hide the blessings that we are, but may we offer a blessing. And in doing so, may we receive a blessing from the world back again. May we do so this day and all the days to come. Amen. Today, Beacon, on this Easter Sunday, we enter another sacred story. Last Sunday, we journeyed with Moses into the desert moments of life. Not the action-packed, miracle-filled story of liberation, but the story of being called into greater being. The story about suffering from a lack of imagination when Moses says, "No, not me, God, anyone else, just not me." Today, we enter another prequel story, if you will, on our way to the resurrection. It is an often overlooked story, forgotten, not worth telling. A moment between two much more important stories. One story where the streets are crowded with celebration as Jesus enters Jerusalem, and another story where we experience betrayal, the betrayal of a friend in a kiss. Here in this forgotten moment is a gem. An unnamed woman emerges from the boundaries to enter into the central scene. From the periphery, she can hear and see what others cannot. The fear and uncertainty that Jesus is carrying as he enters what is before him. She cannot see the future, but she can see the burdens that he is carrying. She can see how hard it is for him. And so she wants to bless him with strength, not superhuman strength, not perfection, not the will to power through. She wants to bless him with a strength that says, "You are not alone. I am with you." These are in-between moments in stories, in between who we are and who we want to be, in between what we have always known and what we're hoping will come to happen, in between the world as it is and the world we need it to be. These are decision moments. Will we cling to the false security of our fixed ideas and our tribal views, as Buddhist nun Pema Chodron asks? Or will we overcome our fears? Will we overcome our "no, not me, God" moments and make the leap into life as liberation? That's what the unnamed woman does. She blesses Jesus for that leap into liberation. Now, I've journeyed with individuals through moments like these, decision moments. A child who stopped sucking their thumb, a man who took his first flight after years of debilitating anxiety, a neighbor who returned to school as an adult after failing out as a teenager, a person who left an abusive relationship, a woman who decided that there was a lot of life to live after a debilitating accident. These individuals decided to take down the fortress of fears that had become ingrained in their mindset so that they could live more fully, more authentically, more alive. They took down those fortress of fears brick by brick, one step forward and two steps back, and one step forward and two steps back. And while this is true for individuals, it's also true for communities and nations and civilizations. Think about Beacon. Consider how tough it was to change our name from the Unitarian Church and Summit to Beacon. It sounds silly, right? I know that the new people among us are like, weren't we always named Beacon? But I have to tell you that our name change failed twice. It ruined relationships. It was said it could not be done. Leaders didn't even want to take it on. Yet we did. We made a decision and we leaped into liberation. Consider nationally the election of President Barack Obama as our first African-American president. How many times had we heard people say that white Americans would never allow it to happen? Of course, I hear you saying it. We also got the backlash of the last 4 years, which continues on. Nevertheless, it happened. That was a leap towards liberation. And now we have elected the first female, first African-American, first Asian American vice president. It happened. We are leaping 1 step forward and 2 steps back. Consider as a civilization the invention of the printing press, which allowed the printing of the Hebrew and Christian Bibles, shifting power from the Roman Catholic priests who had control of the Bible and its interpretation into the hands of the layfolk who now were reading the Bible for the first time. What moments would you name these leaps of liberation, either personally or globally? What moments have you witnessed? Say them out loud wherever you are. Post them in the chat. Create the waterfall. Remind one another of these moments. And then, now let's take a moment to imagine this time, our time, especially in the context of Moses and Jesus and their in-between stories, for we, beloved, are living our own in-between story. Imagine someone living 200 years into the future. What will that person think about us and our time? What sacred story will they tell about now? Now, I will tell you, it's super easy to tell stories of despair and of apocalypse. Those stories are being told all around us. I mean, you can't get away from them, including me. I have told those stories from this pulpit. Pandemic, 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 this pandemic time. And I have to remind myself, if that's the story we tell ourselves, then that's the story it will be. And as scary as the story of apocalypse is, it's also the one we know right now. Weirdly, strangely, it can feel comforting. Well, what could we do? You know, it was really the apocalypse. There was nothing we could do. There's another sacred story out of the Buddhist tradition, which counters that and says there is something we can do. The Buddha encounters Mara, a demon, and the Buddhist nemesis. The Buddha encounters Mara again and again and again. Mara keeps appearing to tempt the Buddha to go back to his old ways, to give in to his fear, to return to what he knows, even if it imprisons the Buddha. And I think, beloved, that that's just life. This seduction to return to the way it was, to not take down the fortress of fear because we're so afraid of what the leap will look like. No, not me, God. Human beings are transitional beings in so many ways. Our existence is the story of living in a constant state of in-between. We are neither fully imprisoned nor fully liberated. We are neither living in a perfect dystopia or a perfect utopia. We, beloved, are in the process of awakening, of evolving, of becoming. That's why we are a part of a living tradition, because that's what we believe in. The potential for our own becoming, 1 step forward and 2 steps back, but 1 step forward again. Because we know that we create our future with every intention, with every word and every action. And so we don't give up. We keep pressing forward. And that's where the unnamed woman comes into our stories to offer us a blessing on our own becoming. That is why I asked you to bless yourselves and those around you today. For when the unnamed woman anoints Jesus with oil, it breaks the spell of fear and uncertainty. Jesus awakens. What have you done? And then he receives the blessing with profound respect and revered silence. No one else in that room can see the blessing for the gift that it is. They are still under fear's spell. But in that moment, Jesus' gratitude is so deep and so immense that he proclaims her gift as a blessing. He signals to us, You and me, some 2,000 years later, that when we possess the courage to reach beyond, to move beyond the boundaries that others set before us, it gifts us with a new imagination for what is possible. These are the moments when we awaken and we lean into becoming. So let me ask, what if? What if we are at the start of something yet unimagined, something life-changing, world-changing right now? What if it started with us, knowing that it never starts with us, that there are always ancestors before who paved the way before us, but what if we picked it up from them and started something, carrying it forward? What if it began now? Wednesday was Trans Empowerment Day. I want you to know that it is not a day of mourning, as happens in November with Trans Day of Remembrance. That is an important, solemn day, especially because there is so much violence against our transgender and gender nonconforming siblings. Trans Empowerment Day, however, is a day to come together in community, all of us, but especially our transgender and gender nonconforming folks, and to celebrate their hard-won triumphs. Their triumphs. A day to lift up their beauty and boldness. A day to create sacred space where they are lifted up, to bless with water and oil all of the decisions that they made to take down the fortress of fear and uncertainty in order to become whole and healthy and beloved. And for our trans members out there, you are a blessing. With each story I heard on Wednesday night, I, a cisgender ally, felt a blessing from you of liberation, a blessing of liberation wash over me. And that helped me into my own becoming. And that's what we do for one another. So I have to ask you, who has blessed you, beloved, with their own story of courage? Who has noticed and celebrated your triumphs when no one else did? Who in your life has said, I see you, I hear you, keep imagining what's possible because I am with you? This is the radical imagination that Adrienne Marie Brown talks about. It is the powerful space that we create together in our in-between moments. When we say to one another, there's got to be something more than this, let's imagine it into being. When we see the end of the world as a good thing, meaning the end of the world as it was, as our fortress of fears, the end of that and the beginning of liberation, the world as we need it to be, when we break open those alabaster jars, blessing ourselves and one another and say, you go, beloved, you are a blessing, live into your wildest dreams. Now, we can't just bless ourselves this day. We have got to live into this practice. And so this week, I invite you into the practice of radical imagination at Refuel on Wednesday. Come with Reverend Aisha and Reverend Emilie, and let's live into radical imagination. For one of the sages of this congregation tells me regularly, our only option is to be a blessing and to offer blessings. What else is there to do? So, beloved, Beacon, friends, strangers among us, you are a blessing. Say it to yourself, I am a blessing, and then turn to someone today and say, you are a blessing to me. Let us break the alabaster jars today. Break them open, for we are not cast in stone, as the Reverend Wendy Williams reminds us. We are becoming, always becoming. No map prepares our path. Living opens us. Loving awakens us. Being blessed. Let us become a blessing in our time, in our world, in this sacred story that we are creating together. What other choice do we have, beloved? And so, amen, ashe, and blessed be.
words unfold like flowers before thee. Hail thee as the sun above. Melt the clouds of sin and sadness. Drive the pain of doubt away. Giver of immortal gladness, fill us with the joy of day. All thy works with joy surround thee. Earth and heaven reflect thy rays. Stars and planets sing around thee. Center of unbroken praise. Field and forest, vale and mountain, blossoming meadow, flashing sea, chanting bird and flowing fountain, call us to rejoice in thee. Thou art giving and forgiving, ever blessing, ever blessed, wellspring of the joy of living, ocean depth of happy rest, ever singing, march we onward, victors in the midst of strife. Joyful music lifts us onward in the triumph song of life.
Happy Easter, Beacon, and happy April. Here at the beginning of this month, as we lean into awakening, evolving, and becoming, we end our service today and throughout this month with the words of Mickey Scott Bay Jones and her work entitled Brave Space. This benediction is a benediction that we use in all of our community groups at the end of our time together when groups of 6 to 8 people lean into their becoming. And so we bring it to you today, here. Ground yourself in the words of Brave Space and take these words out with you into a world that is longing for becoming. Today, we will create brave space because there is no such thing as safe space. We exist in the real world. We all carry scars, and we have all caused wounds. In this space, we seek to turn down the volume on the outside world. We amplify voices that are fighting to be heard elsewhere. We call each other to more truth and love. We have the right to start somewhere and to continue to grow. We have the responsibility to examine what we think we know. We will not be perfect in our becoming. The space will not be perfect. It will not always be as we wish it would be, but it will be our brave space together, and we will work on it side by side. Amen.